Oh my god, it's me! Oh my god. Did you just pepper spray the witch? A little bit.
In the heart of a small, unsuspecting town, a dark past refuses to fade into obscurity. The chilling legend of a masked maniac from the 1980s, haunting their streets with a relentless killing spree, casts a lingering shadow over the community. Stepping into this sinister narrative is Kiernan Shipka, known from Mad Men and Sabrina, who takes on the role of Jamie, a modern teenager grappling with her overprotective mother's anxieties. Her mother's fears stem from the horrifying fact that she was the sole survivor from her friend group when they were killed in 1987. Now, as the masked killer resurfaces 36 years later, Jamie finds herself transported back in time to the 1980s. Here she confronts her own teenage mother, determined to rewrite history and prevent the gruesome killing. The film delves into the culture clash of progressive Gen Zer Jamie, who suddenly finds herself in the world of the 1980s, complete with the era's regressive politics. Some of the movie's most captivating moments emerge from this clash of ideologies, but the film handles this commentary about the generational divide with a light touch, and none of the criticisms really have teeth. Totally Killer is far from an original film. You can, totally see the influences of Happy Death Day, The Final Girls, Hot Tub Time Machine, Heathers, and yes, Back to the Future. Throughout the film, the writers try very hard to make it clear that they are in on the joke. The thing is that the joke isn't nearly as funny as they seem to think it is. The film relies far too much on reference and nostalgia baiting and far too little on creating its own unique jokes. The references are not done in a clever or interesting way, and most of the time just feel forced. The film tiptoes a fine line between genres, but struggles to find its balance. While the comedy aspects occasionally work, the horror elements never do. All of the scenes are brightly lit, there's no sense of atmosphere. The film is completely devoid of any eerie ambiance or suspense. In the grand tapestry of cinema, it feels like a faded copy, lacking the vibrant energy and originality that could have made it a true masterpiece. While Totally Killer occasionally attempts to set itself apart from its numerous inspirations, it far too often ventures down a well-trodden path, missing opportunities to truly stand out in its own right. It's hard not to compare this film to 2015's The Final Girls, where a teenager found herself thrust into the world of an 80s horror movie alongside a character played by her late Scream Queen mother. However, Totally Killer doesn't quite muster the emotional resonance that its predecessor executed with sheer brilliance. The characters in this film are all one-dimensional, and almost everyone is unlikable. The jokes don't land as sharply as they could have, and the kills fail to leave a memorable impression. But overall, the film might have been a decent, if somewhat forgettable watch, if everything here hadn't already been done, and done so much better. The best part of this movie is the soundtrack, which feels much more authentically 80s than most modern films set in the era. But the reference to beer pong by a high school kid in the 80s feels extremely out of place to me. I really like the mask. It seems to be this sort of combination between Max Headroom and Michael Myers, and I think it really works for the film and looks really cool. And now for some spoilers. The age gap between the mom and daughter felt odd to me, since the mom in this film is the same age as my mom, and the daughter is young enough to be my daughter. Though at the end of the film, the emergence of a 34-year-old brother from an alternate timeline helped to bridge this divide, even though it left me with questions about why there's such a large age gap between the first and second child. Both of these scenarios happen in the real world. It was just distracting to me because it left me with these questions about things that I knew would not be addressed in the film. The first killer was a surprise because it seemingly came out of nowhere, and we weren't given any indication of his connection to the situation that was going on until after they had killed him. But the second killer was extremely obvious from the very beginning of the film. Though I was surprised to learn that he was not the original killer, Jamie isn't able to prevent any of the murders, and in fact, there's an extra murder in 1987, which, for the record, was 36 years ago and not 35, as stated in the beginning of the film. I should know because I was born in 1987, and I'm 36. The film's third act becomes quite messy and leaves me with a multitude of lingering questions. While it does make an attempt to tie up loose ends in the final scenes, there remains a substantial number of unresolved issues. Totally Killer emerges as a film caught in a time warp of its own making, struggling to break free from the shadows of its inspirations. While it attempts to blend comedy and horror within the backdrop of an 80s throwback, it often misses the mark. The film's intriguing premise and moments of humor offer some respite, but the overall execution falls short of leaving a lasting impression. As the credits roll, it becomes clear that Totally Killer had the opportunity to be a fresh take on a familiar concept, yet it falls into the trap of familiarity itself, never rising above the level of mediocrity. I had extremely high hopes for this film going in, and I was disappointed. Alright, well, that's my review. If you like this video, can you please hit the like button? You can also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be updated whenever I upload a new video. And until next time, keep on creeping on.
I think maybe if she did do blowjobs, she'd still be alive.
Yeah, let's not make that the lesson.